Hello everyone, good morning. I hope you're doing well today. I hope your day is going great. And if you're just starting the day, good morning again. So, today we're learning about the snowy owl. Moving on with our first fact here. The snowy owl is a large owl with a wingspan of around 1.5 meters. It can weigh up to 2 kilos, and females are about 30% heavier than males. So we see that snowy owls are pretty large, and one reason they are large is because of their wings. Their wingspan is 1.5 meters, which is pretty large there. It's about the size of 5 feet, so it's pretty large. I think if I ever see an owl flying, I'll be scared because their wings are super big. And it can weigh up to 2 kilos, which is not that much, but something that's fascinating is that females are actually heavier than the males here in this bird species. When we look at other birds or other animals, we see that males are usually more heavier, but it's unique to know that snowy owl females are 30% heavier than males. So moving on to our second fact, the snowy owl enjoys a varied diet, often dependent on local prey availability. So the snowy owl usually just eats whatever's available in the area. Some examples are lemmings, rabbits, shrews, voles, birds. So they also eat birds, which is kind of interesting because they are birds too. So they eat geese, crows, and seabirds. And also these owls will also eat carrion. Carrion, I think, is like dead flesh, I think so. Which is pretty cool to know that these snowy owls just adapt to their environment and just eat whatever's available. One thing I think is unique about these owls is they have amazing hunting techniques. So they catch their prey with a combination of keen senses, strategic hunting techniques, and physical adaptations. Just a minute here, I'm going to take a sip of my green tea. It's not that early in the morning, but it is pretty quiet, so I decided to just record an episode. So getting back to our owl. So these hunting techniques are pretty interesting. They use a lot of hunting techniques, such as the wallop. They even named these techniques. The wallop is where the owl lands directly on its prey and grabs it with its sharp talons. And another technique is the sweep, where the owl flies by and catches the prey with one foot while continuing to fly. It is pretty interesting, and it seems kind of like the owls are training for this since they are owlets. Owlets is the term used for baby owls, or kind of owls that are not fully grown yet. So it seems like they trained for this for a long time, because it doesn't seem like it's just an adaptation. I think it's something they trained for. So yeah, those are the two hunting techniques they mainly use. But in some cases, snowy owls may also hover in the air, similar to ospreys, before diving down to catch fish or other prey. So I don't know about ospreys. I've seen them in like documentaries and stuff, but it seems like they hover in the air too before they catch fish or any other prey. But snowy owls, they do the same thing. They are also known to snow plunge or capture prey hidden under the snow, using their strong feet to break through the snow and catch the prey. Wow, I think this is the most fascinating kind of hunting technique because snowy owls, they mostly live in the Arctic areas or in the colder places, and when they need prey, they use the snow plunge technique. I'm gonna remember that name. So they use their feet to break through the snow and catch the prey. I don't know how they kind of sense what's underneath. I think they rely on their excellent eyesight and hearing. They have amazing hearing, which is so cool to know. Because I've never seen an owl hunt, and because they're so mysterious and secretive, we don't know how they do this, but I guess everything has its own unique characteristics, and sometimes they just like to keep it hidden, even though they're amazing. So yeah, they rely on their eyesight and hearing. That makes sense because they do need amazing senses if they're gonna be living in deserted places like that. Moving on to our next fact here. I actually have a story here about owls in the UK. So the last record of snowy owls breeding in the UK was in 1967 on the island of Fetlar in the Shetlands, but this success only lasted until 1975. When the male disappeared, leaving only a few females. So these owls here, they started breeding in the Shetlands, which I think is in UK. And so what happened was the male disappeared, and now they only have females left in the island. So it has like a whole story behind it. It's pretty cool. So I just decided to share it with you guys. So in 1967, while Bobby was guiding Swiss bird watchers around Fetlar, I probably butchered that name. Fetlar, one of his party noticed snowy owls sitting on a desolate slope at Stackaberg. Snowy owls normally looked bored. However, Bobby noticed that the male was acting very aggressively. He took a moment away from his party to look for owl pellets and found a nest with 3 eggs. Aware that announcing this discovery could endanger the owls and their nest, he kept this information quiet, and at the first available opportunity, called the RSPB. I think the RSPB is kind of like a conservation society. I tried to look it up, but nothing showed up. It was just unrelated information, so let's just leave that as it is. So he called the RSPB, and a reserve was quickly set up around the nesting area, and an around-the-clock watch was kept on the snowy owls. An observation hide, which a neighbor had intended to be his garden shed, was erected about 100 meters from the nest, and an empty house was secured on Fetlar for the volunteer wardens. Well, that is so cool that a neighbor's garden shed became an owl conservatory. It is something of a miracle, I would say, that owls kind of just showed up at their nest, because they never really build nests where people can see them, and I feel like this is something incredible that they found. So let's move on with the story. So that first year, 7 eggs were laid and 6 young were hatched, and 5 owls were reared. the snowy owls bred on Fetlar for 8 years, successfully raising 23 young owls. If you've seen owl chicks before, or owlets, as they call it, they are just so cute. They all cuddle together mostly for warmth, and they have like these tiny beaks and big eyes. They're just the definition of cute. So you should definitely check some pictures out of owlets. So moving on, one winter's day, Bobby found the male snowy owl had collapsed from exhaustion. Secretly, he took the bird back home to Midyel. There he perched the snowy owl on his wardrobe, fed him scraps of meat, and nursed him back to health. Soon enough, the male owl was well enough to return to the wild and successfully bred for another 6 years. However, this was not always with the same female. Turns out that though the same pair of owls nested for a long time, the male found an additional lady friend. During those years, 2 females laid eggs at 2 separate nests. However, the male only supplied the first female with food and did not provide for his new love's nest. Isn't that quite sad? Well, as we saw, owls hunting is getting very sparse because they're not finding enough prey. The weather conditions are pretty bad, so the owl decided to give priority to its long-term relationship, or his wife, I would say, over his new love. Anyways, moving on. The following year, 1975, the second female moved to the main nest and the pair reared 4 chicks. So I found this really interesting that the second female kind of moved to the main nest, and together they reared 4 chicks. I just find that very interesting in owls because I have never heard of 2 female owls kind of teaming up together to raise their chicks. I feel like that is very efficient because maybe they'll find more food and they'll get enough attention. I feel like owls should do that very often, but unfortunately they don't. Anyways, in the winter of 1975 to 76, the male disappeared and breeding stopped. So this is the puzzle that no one could solve because no one knew where the male went. It just kind of disappeared. It just vanished, I guess. It must have flown away somewhere, but no one knows why. No one knows where it went. And this is what I love about owls, and also kind of creeped out about because owls are just so mysterious that sometimes it creeps you out. So yeah. But anyways, the older male had also chased off his young male offspring. Turns out there were no more young chicks, and only snowy owl females were on the island. No new males arrived, and 1 or 2 females continued to return every year until 1993. I feel like that's a bit sad, but at least we have something to kind of celebrate because there were a lot of chicks that were raised in that island. But it is kind of weird and kind of mysterious that the owl just disappeared just suddenly, and it also chased off its male offspring. I don't know if that's something owls do all the time. They kind of chase off their male offspring. I don't know if every owl does that, but it's definitely something that puzzles me and makes me curious. So moving on to our next story, we also have vagrant snowy owls turning up in various parts of northern Scotland, and they have been sighted as far as Lincolnshire. So this is not very common because owls just don't show up in parts of Canada and it looks like England. So there have been like news reports on this rare sighting of snowy owl in Lincolnshire resembling Hedwig, a Harry Potter character, and looks like it was reported in 2018. So these are all very rare sightings, and this kind of keeps up the mysterious nature of the owls. This kind of proves how mysterious these owls are. The owl was believed to have possibly flown in from Canada and was seen in various locations, including Wainfleet, Marsh, etc. The sighting was significant as it was the first county since the early 90s. So it seems like the sighting was kind of not random. It seems like the owls kind of knew that this was the first county, and they kind of went there on purpose. But there's nothing to prove that, and I think there are very little information about owls, where they go and what they do. There's definitely a lot of research going on. Bird watchers and researchers are definitely looking into their nests and kind of secretly filming them, and some documentaries kind of show how they raise their chicks and how they hunt. But we definitely have very less information on owls' secret lives or what they do apart from that. So next fact is the snowy's dense plumage, with feathers extending down to its toes, and its great bulk and compact shape enable it to survive extremely low temperatures. And the average winter temperature in the Arctic tundra is minus 34 degrees Celsius. So it looks like the snowy owls have adapted to the cold climate that they live in. There's a reason why they call them snowy owls, because they absolutely camouflage with the snow. They're like pure white. If you've ever seen the Harry Potter movie, Hedwig is also pure white, and every other snowy owl mostly is also like that. Their dense plumage and their feathers extending down to their toes, this kind of shape, this bulky shape, kind of makes them camouflage into the snow and hard for other prey to kind of know that they're there. So this enables them to kind of camouflage and catch prey easily without them being noticed. So in terms of their behavior, snowy owls are known to be active during the day, which is different from the typical night owl image. As mentioned before, these are one of the only type of owls that are known to be active during the day. When we usually think about owls, we think they're nocturnal, which is true for most species, but these snowy owls, however, they hunt during the day, meaning they're diurnal. Another cool fact about them. So this was all for today's episode, guys. I hope that you enjoyed some of the mysterious stories and true incidents. One thing that makes this owl very unique is that it appeared in the Harry Potter movie as a character. So I am a big fan of Harry Potter. I've read all the books and watched all the movies at least twice, and I absolutely love Hedwig. She was not only a post owl, but also Harry's close companion and friend. She's a snowy owl with snow white feathers. As I told you, her snow white feathers are what makes her like stand out from other owls, and that's what makes her significant in the movie. Relating it to the other snowy owls, they look definitely like her, but her character is definitely not like other snowy owls. They don't deliver pose. They're not compassionate or understanding. So So yeah, only the appearance kind of resembles Hedwig, but every other characteristic like compassion, understandability, and kind of attachment to humans is definitely not applicable or true in other snowy owls. We can't tame them, but there are people who kind of keep them as pets, which I think is very cool. I would love a snowy owl as a pet, but I don't think they can kind of understand anything. I mean, they can understand their worlds, like hunting and everything. They're super cool in that, but I don't think they can understand the human world. But it would definitely be cool to see snowy owls kind of delivering mail to us. That's definitely a dream world that I want to live in, where owls are delivering mails instead of humans. I appreciate the post guy, but Hedwig is much cooler. So yeah, that is something that we can imagine. Anyways, guys, this episode was very interesting because I love a good mystery. I love reading mystery stories and articles. Snowy owls especially, they're mysterious creatures, but it doesn't make them any less cooler than other birds. They definitely have a lot of cool characteristics, unique appearances, and adaptations. You should definitely research about them or check out a few documentaries. There are a bunch in Netflix and YouTube, so you can definitely go in and do some things on your own. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I want to cover more species of owls. They have different characteristics compared to the snowy owl, and definitely they have much cooler capabilities too. So stay tuned, guys, and please leave a review or message me in Instagram if you want me to do any other birds. So thank you for watching. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.